This guy is amazing.
It's called California. No, seriously, it's been kind of getting a bad rap lately, but I'm living in the world's largest prison. It's called California. No, seriously, it's been kind of getting a bad rap lately, but I assure you, it's never been better living in California. The freedom-suppressing theme that's strong in California is so fashionable right now. The communists like lockdowns, wear a mask everywhere you go, stay off the beach orders. They basically have a put yourself in the body bag now order. So progressive. I understand why California has such a large prison population. People are trying to get in just to have a little freedom. But I wouldn't want that, because freedom's dangerous based on what my North Korean Cali propaganda has told me to think. There's a gold rush of opportunity in California right now. Yeah, you can't work here, which means you can't spend your time earning money, which means you can spend your time panning for gold. Guaranteed riches. People say we have a problem with homelessness here. Completely untrue. We are having no problem growing it at exponential rates. Seeing tent cities all over the place, it's basically camping. People enjoying the wilderness. It's good for you. I think we need more of it. And the fact that we allow them to take over our sidewalks, parks, and other public places so the tax-paying public can't use those public places makes us as loving and accepting as a spineless doormat. I, for one, don't want to raise my kids in a place where they don't have to walk across human feces and needles just to get to their front door. How else would they learn about hepatitis C? The high California taxes are a joy. Getting to pay the most to live in the worst conditions only means one thing. I'm smart, and our politicians know what they're doing. Taking an exorbitantly high amount of income and getting junk in return kind of makes it seem like our politicians are running a giant pyramid scheme. And we all know pyramids are the most stable structures on Earth. But now I don't have to worry about the state income tax because the state won't let me work. I have no income. My kids are getting really hungry. Is that a problem? But you know who will have to pay more taxes? California's top earners. The state legislature has proposed a tax hike that would take 54% of the income from California's top earners. Genius! You already have the highest state income tax, so then you make it higher in order to pay for the state of disaster you've created. Get this, California's top earners account for 40% of the state tax revenue, and people with no financial sense speculate that if the tax hike was passed into law, California's wealthiest people would leave the state so they didn't have to give away 54% of their income. If that happened, that means the state's brilliant way of trying to get more money would actually result in them getting less money. 40% less, actually. But that won't happen. They're not going to leave the state, even though they already are, because here's the thing. Wealthy people don't want to keep the money they earn. They don't feel like they deserve it. And Gavin Newsom's at the top of his game. What's the most intelligent way to respond to a disease that carries a 99.96% survival rate? Create poverty and despair. Don't let people open their businesses and don't let people work. It's a good plan to help strengthen the homeless population. Most governors wouldn't have such a forward-thinking plan. But to be completely honest with you, part of me suspects a little corruption with Gavin Newsom. A little bribery. Payoffs, if you will. I think he's being funded by the homelessness industrial complex. He is suspiciously attached to its growth. Oh, and of course, California can rest well knowing they're in the altruistic hands of Nancy Pelosi. She demands that people wear a mandatory mask, obviously for their best interest, yet she's caught not wearing a mask at a salon. First off, she didn't mean to get caught. She was seen on security footage not wearing her mask. She never meant for anybody to find out. It was an honest mistake. But I think it proves that wearing a mask is in people's best interest because she wasn't wearing one. She's not behind him just for her own personal power-hungry political agenda. It either makes her a hypocrite or me a moron. And I don't think she's a hypocrite. Dude, LA's a gem, isn't it? It's more Detroit than Detroit ever was. Mayor Garcetti has transformed it from a disastrous city of beauty and opportunity into one of luxurious despair and poverty. He also deserves a Nobel Prize in tattletaling. Divide your city by trying to get them to snitch on each other for non-social distancing. It's a beautiful way of uniting your city. And Garcetti's commitment to ignoring USC's research on coronavirus infection rates and the shockingly low death rate in LA County in order to focus on fictitious numbers that justify his draconian lockdown takes an elite level of talent to turn that much of a blind eye. Out here, our favorite subject is not talking about the pedophile rings in Hollywood, but to combat them, our forward-thinking politicians, not being paid off by guilty people, just passed the law lessening the punishment for having sex with children. California is protecting pedophiles. Obviously a great idea because of all the alleged pedophile rings in Hollywood. They all had to go to jail for as long as they deserved. They wouldn't have very good movies. Look at it this way. They're protecting pedophiles from children who want justice. Children can be very predatory. Just thank God California is so progressive. Why are high-profile people like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk moving out of California and taking their businesses with them? I think it's because they're failures. They're just not a good vibrational match for the success that is the California government. And for the mass exodus of the peasants leaving California, they're just ungrateful and entitled. They just want a safe place to raise their family and acceptable living conditions in a state that's not falling apart. And whatever state they're moving to, I just hope they vote the same way there that they did in California. That way they'll create the same problems that they created in California and drove them to leave the state in their new state. If I had just one suggestion for the governor of California and all the politicians, and this isn't a criticism because they're obviously the best in the world at what they do according to them, it would be this. Lean even further in the same direction that you've been going. It's like, if you were falling this way, instead of trying to bring yourself upright, you just lean further in the same direction that you're falling. That way you crash into the ground sooner, and when you do, you won't be falling anymore. California logic.